Thank you so much for joining again. Um, we are in, we just began chapter 9 last week. We covered 3 verses. I'll still continue with 9.3 a little bit, the main topic of which is faith. And then we will go on with the rest of the verses. Uh, as I had said last time, chapter 9 is something we will go through very slowly and steadily because it is arguably one of the most important chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. And after that, we are going to pick up pace. Uh, I hope we'll go pretty fast after that. So I'll bring up that point about what do you want to plan after Bhagavad Gita, while towards a little bit in the later part of the discussion today. So we'll start back with 9.3, but before we start, let us recite our prayers, um, the Mangalacharan prayers, which are at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So I hope you have a quiet place to sit and do the class for 2 hours. And if possible, please turn on your cameras. It's good for me to see you, and I'm sure you can see me. And I just, gives me a better feeling as if I'm in a real class. So if possible, we can do that. So we were on 9.3, which is the verse, primarily the topic of that verse was faith. And the verse was Ashraddhadhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Sansara Vartamani. So Ashraddhadhana Purusha, so we had talked about Shraddha and the fact that those who do not pursue this devotional service, which was described in the previous verse 9.2 as Susukham Kartum Avyayam. This is the Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. This is the king of knowledge, and it is performed joyfully. It's very joyful to perform, to undergo, but it needs to be performed with faith. And those who don't perform it with faith, what happens to them? Aprapyamam. They don't attain me, they don't come to me, but instead, Mrityu Sansara Nivartante. They come back to this material world of birth and death, Mrityu Sansara Nivartante. So we discussed, I'll summarize what we talked about last week, and then we will continue from there. So faith is extremely important in devotional service. For that matter, faith is important in anything, even in your material education, faith is very important. Everything that you learn in your school, college, university, basically you are going by faith. You have not come up with that whole knowledge yourself. It's been told to you, and you just accept it. I was giving this example of a science experiment last time. There are so many science experiments in the science book. How many have you done yourself? Very few. You have not done all of them. And some of the experiments nobody has done. Only very few people, maybe in some very expensive laboratories, have done, like being able to see an electron, or being able to uh, see, or so to say, detect, let's say, the Higgs boson. That experiment was done only once in CERN. It has never been repeated again. And we all are so we are all getting that information through a chain of information passing, but we are trusting it. We are having faith that those people are giving us that information. Same thing is with the scriptures. We have that information coming through the scriptures, and we have to put our faith in it, that this is correct. And why this is important, we discussed last time, is that the faith is the antidote for doubt. Doubts appear in our mind, and the way to keep the doubts away is faith. Now, we do perform some experiments in bhakti as well, and we do see positive results. If you perform an experiment seriously in bhakti, sincerely and seriously, you will see positive results. I can say that because I have experienced that in my life. I know some very close people who would not lie to me, who have said the same thing. So I have faith that this, what I am telling you, is correct. It is for you to figure out, or to build that faith by doing some experiments. And when I say experiment, it's not like a science experiment. What I really mean to say is try it out. Try it out for sincerely. That's the most important. Sincerely for some time. And if it totally doesn't work for you, fine, reject it. But please try it out sincerely, just like you try out material education sincerely, and then you do see results. So faith is the antidote for doubts, and doubts are the number one cause of deviating from the path of bhakti. Absolute number one cause. And doubts come from our prior, so to say, contamination, or our our so much taste has been built to enjoy maya, that that programming in our mind plants the doubts or raises the doubts. And faith in Krishna is the one that keeps and will keep those doubts away. So we talked about faith in the scriptures, in the statements of the scriptures, such as Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Uh, and so we must read the scriptures with faith, with Shraddha, that yes, this is whatever is being said here is true. It is for my benefit. If I follow it, because other people got the result, I will get the result. So many times we take medicines. I think I gave this example also. When there is some very bad disease, somebody says, oh, I tried this medicine from this doctor and it worked for me. If the disease is really bad, we run and go to that doctor. Maybe that will help me. We run here and there, and we try to all possible remedies based on other people's recommendation. It may not even be mainstream medical science. I know for my mother, for my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, who was suffering from very bad cancer, people were giving all kind of suggestions, this particular thing from here, and our my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law and my other family members went to far away places to get this medicine, that medicine, try it out, based on other people's words. uh, so similarly, when we do that, when the situation is very dire, very critical, we must realize how critical our situation is. Death is awaiting us in a few years. And after that, God knows what kind of bodies we will take and when we will ever get a chance to get a human life. So this is a great opportunity. Like they say, make hay while the sun shines. This human life is like that. And one should make best use of it. What was I saying? Got distracted.
Make use of the human life.
Anyway, so yeah, so one should try it out, and these doubts are the number one cause of deviating from bhakti. And uh, anyway, I lost my chain of thought there, but
You were saying when we will get the chance for human life again.
I know, but there was a particular chain. What I was going to say after that, I kind of lost that. Mhm. There's some disturbance going on. I'll wait for this to be over. Sorry about that. So, the other thing that we discussed was that we should find what builds our faith and invest heavily in those things. This is absolutely critical. And I will talk a little bit more about that. And when we say we should build our faith, initially, some of the things that we do externally helps to build our faith. For example, going to the temple or worshiping the deities, but those are some external things. Um, Probably giving up eating of certain types of food, wearing a certain type of dress, putting on tilak. All these are nice things, but they are external. And after some time, they become normal, they become routine. But unless the heart changes from the inside, then the external things change. It's like you have moved from one city to the other. The external factors have changed, but the inside you are the same person. So we must also take care to change our internal consciousness as well. I showed that picture of a cartoon of a little like a person dressed in like a bottle, glass bottle, where outside there are devotional things, but inside there is that propensity for name, fame, passion, and all those things. So finding things that help us to build our faith. Let me talk on that one a little bit more. So I'm going to share my screen and go to a particular verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Please note down this verse number. This is a very important verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I'll share my screen here. Are you seeing my screen? Yeah? Yes, no? Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes.
So this is Veda Base. I hope all of you are absolutely familiar with this and have complete familiarity with this website by now, vedabase.io. I'll go to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit. And within that, I'll go to Madhya Leela. And then I will go to chapter 22 and verse number 128. Okay, so I will go to this verse number 128. This is a very, very important verse, and you should make a note of it somewhere and keep it as one of the important verses to remember and to memorize, to recall, to refer to at various points in your devotional life. So this says, so there are 5 limbs of bhakti, 5 limbs. And these limbs are mentioned here: Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vas, Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. And then the next verse is the continuation of this. Sakala sadhana shreshtha ei pancha anga means five limbs, Krishna prema janmaya ei panchera alpa sanga. I'll explain the meaning of this. So this second verse is describing the significance of the items, the five items in the previous verse. So we'll go back to the previous one. So what are these five limbs? Pancha anga. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing Srila Sanatana Goswami. You know, the Supreme Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the Supreme Lord, and he is instructing one of his prime disciples, one of his best disciples, Srila Sanatana Goswami, and he's um, telling him there are these five limbs of bhakti: Sadhu Sangha, which is association of pure devotees of the Lord. And these five are kind of in sequence. One should try to do these in that order. Especially, one should not jump to the fourth or fifth level directly without investing enough time in one, two, or three. So, in that sense, there is a some kind of an ordering. It's possible if you want to do one and two in parallel, maybe two, you do number two before number one, or but don't do three before one. So, you know, little bit of overlap is okay, but not you shouldn't disrupt the sequence by a whole lot. I hope you're getting the essence of what I am saying. So the first one is Sadhu Sangha. This is where everything starts. You associate with saintly people, with devotees of the Lord. That's step number one. Then you get that by associating with them, you get some instructions, you hear something, and then you invest your time in Sankirtana, which is Nama Sankirtana. Nama Sankirtana is the most potent. Simply chanting or singing the name of the Lord. Now, the name of the Lords are millions of names are there, and you can sing very nice other things, the bhajans or other songs or other names, or you know, so many things can be part of the kirtana. So that whole thing comes under Nama Kirtana. Then the third one is Bhagavat Shravana, hearing Bhagavat Katha. And the primary source of Bhagavat Katha is Srimad Bhagavatam. There could be other Puranas as well. Padma Purana is there, or other scriptures are there. Ramayana is there, and so on. So, but Bhagavat Shravan is the third one. Then the fourth one is Mathuravas, going and staying in a holy place. That doesn't only mean Mathura, the district Mathura in India, in Uttar Pradesh. It doesn't just mean that. It means staying in a holy place. And it doesn't mean we are all here living in America, that we leave America and go to India or go to some other place. What it means is living in a holy place. So make whatever place you are living in holy. The purpose is that the place is such that your distractions are minimized. If you are living in Las Vegas, what is known as Sin City, and you look here and there, you just move your head, turn your head around, you will not see anything that will inspire you to do devotional service. You will see 500 things that will inspire you to do sense gratification. Whereas if you go to Vrindavan or Mathura, if you move your head around, you will see only temples. So that is the purpose, so that our distractions are minimized, because our mind is very fickle. So wherever you are living, it doesn't physically have to be Mathura, Vrindavan, Ayodhya, or Haridwar, or Badrinath, Kedarnath. It doesn't have to be physically that, but the point is to live in an environment which is devotional. And finally, the fifth one is Shri Murtira. This is deity, having a deity in your house, or you know, a temple or wherever. Shraddhaya Sevana, with Shraddha, with faith and with love, you seva, you do seva of the deity. So again, sometimes people who are beginning devotional service want to jump to deity service, want to serve the deity. That is very nice, but one can start with a picture. Deity comes in 5 forms, actually 7 forms: metal, wood, stone, picture, and mind. In the mind also you can manifest a deity. So if there is nobody around, if you are in, just, middle of nowhere, the deity can be in the mind as well. But metal, stone, wood, those are the 3 primary forms of the deities. You will see so many stone deities in so many temples, so many metal deities are there. In our ISKCON Portland temple, the deities are made of wood. But if you want to start with a picture deity, a painting deity, and then go from, don't jump to worshipping deity right away. First invest in sadhu sangha, nama kirtana, bhagavat shravana. So the point is, why we discussed this is because uh, one should try to find things that strengthens one's faith and invest heavily in that. I cannot stop emphasizing on that point enough. And for me, um, reading of Srimad Bhagavatam and singing some of the bhajans written by previous acharyas and going through the biographies of previous acharyas, these are 3 things for me which have helped me instill a lot of faith in my heart. What all uh, problems or difficulties previous acharyas went through, and seeing how they overcame those difficulties, is, if they can do that, they can have that consciousness. I can also try to follow them, try to follow their footsteps. So like that, we have to see what instills or what strengthens our faith and invest in that. So Lord Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the next verse that Sakala sadhana shreshtha ei pancha anga. Among all the activities of devotional service, these 5 are the shreshtha. Shreshtha means the best. And Krishna prema janmaya ei panchera alpasanga. Alpasanga means even little bit. If you do any 5 of these, it generates Krishna prema. So Krishna prema janmaya. Krishna prema takes birth in one's heart if you do little bit also of these. So that is what is written here in this verse. I'm going to stop sharing. So please find what builds your faith and invest in that. And I will now come to the point of scriptures, clarifying the role of scriptures in building the faith. So that is Bhagavad Shravana, the third point that was mentioned there. Now, a scripture is like a map. I'll take the analogy of a map. You are here right now, you are in Portland, okay? You want to go to, let's say, San Francisco. How do you go from Portland to San Francisco? You take out a map. Well, today there is Google Maps, so but still it's a map. You tell Google Map, I want to go here, and it will tell you turn left, turn right, turn here, turn there. Now, have you memorized that route in your mind? Have you built that route yourself? No, you have not. You are having faith on the map that if I follow this map, I will reach where I am wanting to or I want to go. So you are putting your faith in the map. If the map is wrong, it will take you somewhere else. Okay? So scriptures are like maps. They are telling us, if you do this, you will reach here. If you do this, you will reach here. If you do this, you will reach here. Now, even in the material world, there are so many maps. So many maps are there. Maps for sense gratification. For example, this whole education system is a map. They say, okay, if you study hard for 12 years, doctors have to study for probably 25 years. I have heard, post whatever, um, postgraduate, residency, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they have a long study path before they are able to, allowed to even touch a real patient. So much of, but the map has been charted out. If you put your hard work and do all these things, you will be successful. That whole map has been charted out. That's why people want to follow that path. They have faith in that process, and they have seen other examples follow that process and be successful. So try to understand the key elements of this map. There are also other maps. There are so many maps about, that try to also kind of borderline cheat you. There was this whole thing 15 years ago about the subprime mortgages. Oh, even if you don't earn money too much, we'll give you this interest free loan, or some very low interest loan, no down payment, no anything. You'll have a big house, you'll have a big car, you will have this, you will have that. All these promises were made, assurances were made, and it was like a map for sense gratification. That, okay, I don't even have to put in the effort to work hard to earn the money. I will get this sense gratification. So in that case, it blew up. Many people had to leave their houses. They were driven out of their houses. So there are all these kind of maps that we are asked to follow, that if you do this, you will get here. There are very few maps for bhakti. Who is telling you in your life, if you do this, you will reach here? Who is telling you that? The Shastra is telling you that. Of course, the Guru is telling, but Guru is repeating the message of the Shastra. So ultimately, it comes down to the Shastra. So the Shastra is our map, and we have to put our faith. And there are examples in the Shastra that we see that, oh, he did this, and this is what happened. So why can't I do it? Or let me try at least. I may succeed or I may fail, but let me try. Not everybody who wants to become a doctor becomes a doctor, but they try. And some become, some don't. So try. So let me try. And that's why I said reading the biographies of previous acharyas is very, very faith instilling for me, because they are also like, real life examples for me to try and see how I can try to be a little bit like them, not fully like them, but at least a little bit, a fraction of them. So that is the importance of Shastra. Shastra is telling us all those things. It's giving us the map, and we put our faith in the map. We see other people have followed it. They have been successful. So the characteristics are the same. So why not follow the Shastra? But we have to invest our time in understanding the Shastra, and that reading the Shastra, and that's how we build faith. The faith develops. And I'll say one last thing about this, and then we will move on. There is this, I want to familiarize you with another verse which is extremely important, which is also part of my sort of set of key verses to remember or memorize, which I again need to remember to send it to all of you. So I'm going to do that very soon, but let me show it to you, and you can take again a screenshot or whatever you want of it. And it's here. Share screen. So these are the 40 inspiring verses from Bhagavad Gita. These are the sort of the slides that I kind of use off and on. I don't use them very often. And this is slide number, I can't read the slide number. I didn't have the page numbers put here. Anyway, so this, and then there are some more super important verses to remember. And here I'm talking about this one, which is mentioned in the purport 4.10 of the Bhagavad Gita purport. This is not verse 4.10, but it is mentioned in verse 4.10's purport. This actual verse, so let me read the verse, or let me show you the purport of 4.10. 4:10, and this is in the purport of the verse, which is called Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha तथा भजन क्रिया ततो अनर्थ निवृत्ति स्यात् ततो निष्ठा रुचिस तथा आसक्तिस ततो भावस तथा प्रेमाभ्युदान chadi. So these are describing till here 9 stages of bhakti, Now, these verses are in turn being taken from Chaitanya Charitamrita, from where Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu takes. So these are such important verses that these have been repeated in multiple Shastras. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's in verse number, if you directly want to go to the source of this verse is coming directly from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhya Leela, chapter 23, and verse number 14 and 15. Same verses are here. You can take a screenshot of this or note down this number. Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita 23.14 to 15. Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha Tatha Bhajan Kriya Tato Anartha Nivritti Syat Tato Nishtha Ruchis Tatha. So these are the first 6 stages. And then there is Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. So what it says, if you see, I want to focus just on the beginning, Adau Shraddha. In the beginning, Adau means in the beginning, there needs to be firm faith in the process. And then Sadhu Sangha and Bhajan Kriya. So if you go back to the other verses there, these are the verses that we talked about a little while ago: Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, and Bhagavata Shravana. So these 3 are the same as mentioned here. First there is Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya. There is also Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya. Bhajan Kriya is Nama Sankirtana, and Bhagavat Shravana is not mentioned here, and therefore Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says Bhagavat Shravan comes even before the Shraddha, even before the first stage, Adau Shraddha. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that to build faith, you must do Bhagavat Shravana. So get in association of devotees, listen to Bhagavata, and then faith will, it's an iterative process. Faith develops, you listen more, it develops more faith, you listen more, and faith develops. So it's an iterative process. It's a virtuous cycle of growth. You keep growing, your faith keeps growing in this virtuous manner. So I wanted to show that super important verse to you. And by the way, that verse, the remaining stages in that verse are, which we are not going to cover right now, are after Shraddha, there is Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, then there is Nishtha, means determination, determined devotional service. Then Ruchi means taste or attraction. And then Asakti, which is attachment. So it's a higher level of attraction. Attraction means attraction, you're just attracted, but if it is not there, it's okay. Attachment is almost like addiction. You cannot live without it. So it's a much higher level of attraction. And then there is Bhava and Prema, which are very high stages of bhakti. So anyhow, so I just wanted to familiarize you with this, and I hope you have made your notes and have a very good sort of understanding of faith and how important developing this faith is in devotional service in bhakti. So now we will continue with 9.4. Okay. So today my intent is to hopefully cover till 9.12. Let's see what we can do. 13 and 14, 9.13 and 14 are super important verses of this whole chapter. Very, very, very important verses, which we will start from next week, if we are able to cover till 9.12. Okay, so please join on time. If we are able to cover till 9.12, we will start 9.13 in the beginning of next class. So be on time. So now 9.4, 5, and 6. Okay, this here Lord Krishna is explaining further how to build faith, or he's actually explaining some of the things that could cast a doubt in our mind, because there are all these different expansions, different forms of the Lord. So one can think, oh, is the Lord this or is the Lord that? And that casts a doubt. And maybe one can think, oh, the scriptures can't agree. Is the Lord this way or that way? Is he the supreme Lord? Is that the supreme Lord? So all the scriptures are useless. They are all trying to say their own thing. It's all bogus. Let me reject it. That could be one big source of doubt. And in fact, it is a source of doubt today. People think, oh, all these religious people, Hindus and Muslims and Christians, they all keep fighting with each other. My God versus your God. I don't want any God. This is the argument that many people make, isn't it? A lot of people make this argument that I don't want to have anything to do with these religious people because they just keep fighting in the name of God. So I give up religion. I'll become an atheist. This is a very valid argument. I would say that, people are justified in doing that, and the religious people have been doing a disservice in not conveying the essence of the religion to the people and only conveying the differences. And here the Lord is saying there are differences. There are going to be differences. So 9.4 to 9.6 is all about contradictions or differences in understanding. And I will explain how to reconcile those differences. Okay. So 9.4. So we will read that verse. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshva avasthitaha. So what does that mean? The translation by Srila Prabhupada is, by me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So let's read that again. By me in my unmanifested form, avyakta murtina. Avyakta. I had asked you long back to remember this word, avyakta. Avyakta means non-manifested, something which is not present. Vyakta means present in front of you. Avyakta means it is absent, it is not manifest. So avyakta murtina. So Lord Krishna is saying, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. That by me, Maya tatam, this I am pervading this sarvam, jagat sarvam, or sarvam jagat means I am pervading this entire world, this entire jagat, not just the earth, but the entire universe. I am pervading. How he is pervading? Through his avyakta murtina, in his unmanifested form. So this means that the Lord has an unmanifested form. That's point number one. Point number two, he's pervading the entire universe with this unmanifested form. That's what he's saying in the first line of this verse. Then he says, Matsthani sarvabhutani. Matsthani means in me. And this word Matsthani is very important. It will occur 2 more times in the next 2 verses. Very important. This is sort of the anchor word of this section of 3 verses, 9.4, 5, and 6. Matsthani means in me, sarvabhutani. All entities, all living entities, sarvabhutani. Bhuta means, bhutani means living entity. Sarva means all. So all living entities are in me. So imagine, just as a wild imagination, imagine Krishna, and within him, all living entities are there. Na cha aham teshva avasthitaha. And I am not in them. Na cha aham, I am. Na, not. Teshva avasthitaha. Avasthitaha means situated. So I am not in them, they are in me. Do you get that? So Lord Krishna is saying that everybody is in me. But in the first line, what he is saying, I am pervading the entire world, which means I am in the entire world. Do you see that? Now, these are complex verses. This is very deep philosophy. This is where people who read Bhagavad Gita begin to get confused a little bit. So this is a hard part of Bhagavad Gita. And if you don't get it, it's fine. Let me tell that. I tell that in every single time I deal with these verses. I tell, if you are confused, you are in the right place. These are some of the most complex verses of Bhagavad Gita. It took me a few years of reading again and again, listening to various acharyas and various devotees' commentaries, reading other commentaries to get a clear understanding. And I'm trying to convey that to you. But if you are not able to get it fully, don't worry one bit. Okay. So right here, you can see some level of contradiction between 9.4 AB and CD. In AB, he is saying, I am pervading the entire world, which means I am in the entire world. And in CD, he is saying, everything is in, every living being is in me. Let's look at 9.5, where again, he will go back to saying the other thing. So I'm going to 9.5 and then we'll come back. So 9.5, the verse is, Nacha matsthani bhutani. So bhutani means living entities. Of course, the word sarva is not used here, but the meaning is all living entities, sarva bhutani. But na cha matsthani bhutani, this is exactly the opposite of the previous sentence, which is matsthani sarva bhutani. So which one is it? Matsthani sarva bhutani or na cha matsthani sarva bhutani? He's saying both things. Do you see that? Are you lost? Can somebody at least confirm that you're getting what I'm saying, or I'm kind of going completely over the head? Yes?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So he's saying both sides. I am in everything and everything. I am inside everything and everything is inside me. Now I can see, this is like saying, I use this analogy. Right now I can see most of you who are on the video, you are inside the house. Okay? Now you are inside the house, but is the house inside you? The house is not inside you. You cannot have it both ways. Either you can eat the house, let's say it's possible to eat up your house, then the house will be inside you. But then you cannot be inside the house. You will be outside the house will be inside you. Right now, the house is outside and you are inside the house. You cannot have it both ways. But Lord Krishna is right here saying, I am both. I am inside as well as I am outside. Okay, so this is, please try to follow this. So these 6 lines, rather 6 ABCD of 9.4 and AB of 9.5 are presenting the contradiction. Please try to get it. Little bit. And if you can't, that's okay. Not AB, 9.5A. Okay, A. Where he says, Nacha matsthani bhutani. Okay. Now in 9.5b, he reveals how to understand this. He says, Pashyame yogam aishwaram. Look at yogam aishwaram. Yoga means this is my mystic opulence, inconceivable mystic power. Srila Prabhupada has translated in the word by word. But in the translation, in the full translation, Srila Prabhupada says, behold, pashyame, behold my mystic opulence, yogam aishwaram. This is my mystic opulence. This is my inconceivable mystic nature. It's not possible for us living entities to figure out God completely. We can figure out parts of God, but not completely. His nature is beyond our capacity to understand him. That is what it means. Behold my mystic opulence. And not only that, he is saying it's a good thing. It's not something to feel embarrassed about. Oh my God, God is kind of, a little sketchy. We can't figure him out. It would have been so much good if he was simpler, if he was smaller, easier to understand. I'm kind of embarrassed that he is like this. No, Krishna is saying, celebrate my mystic opulence. Be proud of it. My Lord is so great, nobody can figure him out fully. Okay, and then he continues in that 9.5, Bhuta Brinna cha Bhutastho Mama Atma Bhuta Bhavanaha, which means although I am the maintainer of all living entities and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. Again, he's summarizing that contradiction. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities and although I am everywhere, so he's saying I am everywhere, but I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. So what does it mean? If he's everywhere, he should be part of the cosmic manifestation. But he's saying I'm not a part of the cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. Mama Atma Bhuta Bhavanaha. So this is the contradiction. So what should we do about it? So let me now talk about these two verses. And then in 9.6, he will give a very beautiful example. We will cover that of the sky and the wind, how they are kind of like that if you think about it. But we'll come to that example a little bit in a few minutes. So these are little complex verses, and that's fine. Try to understand it, and if you can't, it's okay. Now the Lord, and in the purport Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, the Lord has several forms. Now he says avyakta murtina, which means murti means it's one of the forms. Murti means a form, and which means the Lord has several forms. So for example, the Lord has a form called Kshirodakshai Vishnu. I don't think I need to share my screen and show you that chart again about Kshirodakshai Vishnu, that there is Karunodakshai Vishnu, the Mahavishnu, and through him, many universes are coming out. And then in each universe, he enters as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And within each universe, he enters as Kshirodakshai Vishnu into every single atom and every single living entity's heart as the Paramatma. So he himself, the Lord, expands himself into three types of Vishnu: Karunodakshai Vishnu or Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, he is pervading the entire universe because he is inside every atom and inside the heart of every living entity. But as Mahavishnu, he's outside everything because everything is coming from him. With every breath of his, universes are coming out from him. That means he is outside everything. So as Mahavishnu, he is outside everything, but as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, he is inside everything. That is one way to understand. Okay. Another way is that to understand is that the Lord pervades the entire universe through his influence, through his Shakti. Either it could be the Maya Shakti or the Yoga Maya Shakti, but he influences, he casts his influence on all living entities on not only living entities, but non-moving objects. As it is written, nothing, even a blade of grass, cannot move without the Lord's will. So the Lord's influence is there on the entire world. So by his influence, he pervades. So there are multiple ways in which our acharyas have explained what is the meaning of the Lord pervading the entire universe. So now there is this contradiction. Is he inside the world or outside the world? Now I explained in different forms, he is either inside or he's outside in two different ways. Now, the question is, how do we deal with these contradictions in the scriptures? How should we, and this is just one contradiction given, one of them, but a very major one. And so many people will say or have a problem with this itself. No, Krishna is, or God is, the unmanifest energy. There is no personal form of God. We have talked about this topic at length in the 7th chapter, verse numbers 24 and 25 were exclusively devoted to this discussion. If you have a doubt, you can go back and review the topic of 7.24 and 7.25. We will again deal with it a little bit later in the 9th chapter also. So some people say God is unmanifest. Some people say, no, God is personal. That is a contradiction. Which one is it? Is he personal? Is he impersonal? This question will be clearly put to rest in the 12th chapter. So we will deal with it again in the 12th chapter. Even Arjun had this contradiction, and he asks directly, point blank, he asks this exact question in the beginning of 12th chapter. We will wait till we get there. The answer is both are true. That is the answer. Both are true. As we just saw, Krishna himself is saying, he's not trying to fool Arjuna. Hey, you know what? Am I inside or am I outside? Which one? He's not saying that. He's not posing a question to Arjuna. Guess me. Guess who I am. He's not playing a game with Arjuna. Which one I am? Inside or outside? No, he's making a statement. I am inside and I am outside. Behold my mystic opulence. So this is not a contradiction. If in the true sense of, now I'm going a little bit into a deeper sort of a analysis of this. This is not a contradiction in the true sense. What is a contradiction? Contradiction means only one has to be true. That's a contradiction. Either this is true or that is true. When it appears that both are true, you call it a contradiction. And you think that there is some flaw in my logic, but only one of them is true. When both are apparently true, there is another word in English for that, and it is called a paradox. Okay, so a better word in the language, in the English language, to describe this phenomenon that both are true, but you can't figure out how to explain it, that's called a paradox. In science also, there are all kinds of paradox. In relativity, there is something called the grandfather paradox. I won't go into detail about it, but the point is, relativity says there is a theoretical way to travel back in time. And the paradox is, okay, if I travel back in time and I kill my grandfather, then my father wouldn't be born because my grandfather died. Then how would I be born? But I am here today. So how do I explain this? And there is some way to explain it. I'm not an expert in relativity and all that stuff. Go ask a physicist. But there is a theoretical explanation, scientific explanation to this thing. But this is a paradox. All I'm trying to say is that it can be resolved. But it appears at first sight to be a paradox or a contradiction. So this is a paradox. Now let me explain you how should devotees who are trying to make progress in bhakti deal with such paradoxes, like the one given by Krishna right here. And there are many more in the scriptures. Now Bhagavad Gita is very compact, concise. Krishna is giving this one example of a very, very profound paradox, but you will find many such in the scriptures. You will find a paradox. Like many people ask, why does Krishna steal butter? He's supposed to be God. Why does he steal? He's a thief. We're supposed to be good people. Why is God doing a bad thing? That's a paradox, right? Now, yesterday I had a class on the Kartik month, and I gave an explanation, the significance of Krishna stealing butter. So when you go deeper into the Shastra, you can understand the significance of these things. There are these other paradoxes. Lord Ram, he abandoned Mother Sita. Why did he abandon Mother Sita? He's supposed to be the ideal human being. Purushottama, he's called. Maryada Purushottam Ram. He's supposed to be the ideal human being. How can he abandon his wife who suffered so much for him in Lanka? And she was pregnant when he abandoned him, just on the basis of an accusation by some rascal washerman. He accused the Lord and he abandoned Mother Sita. This is such a big paradox. People cannot understand. Then they say, let's forget Lord Ram. I will go to my, my material world, and I will, take one peg of whiskey and I'll be happy. It will explain all my problems instead of thinking about Lord Ram. So that contradiction is there. So there are so many contradictions when we read scriptures. Lord Ram, again, why did he shoot Bali from the back, from hiding? These things create doubts in one's mind. Now, Lord Ram is the utmost object of bhakti for Rama Bhaktas. Do you think Hanumanji is a fool? Why is he so devoted to Lord Ram? If Lord Ram has a sketchy character, why is Hanuman so devoted to Lord Ram? So there must be an answer. So this is not a contradiction, it's a paradox. So here are 6 points. If you want, you write down. Otherwise, anyway, this class will be on YouTube. You can listen to it. But I have come up with a 6-step process on how to deal with contradictions in scriptures. And you will find many contradictions in scriptures or paradoxes. There's another big paradox that Lord Vishnu is lying on this ocean of milk. What is it called? Not Garbhodaka Ocean, but it has another name.
Samudra.
Gopal or anybody can probably remind. Anyway, the Kshir Sagar, yes. Yeah, the Kshir Sagar. He's lying on the Kshir Sagar, which is an ocean of milk. Now, wait a minute, ocean of milk? I've never heard of. It's all like, humbug, just bogus stuff. You can say ocean of milk, ocean of this, ocean of that. There's no ocean of milk. Come on, these scriptures are all useless. That could be the doubt in one's mind. So how should we resolve such doubts? So if you want, you can write down this 6 steps. So our attitude, the devotee's attitude, whenever they encounter such apparent contradictions in the scriptures, how they should deal with it. Step number 1, have firm faith that scripture is not wrong. Point number 1, firm faith that scripture is not wrong. Okay. Point number 1. Some scientists, there was an article published in Scientific American. Imagine that. A Scientific American is a highly reputed science magazine. They published an article, some scientists, that they found that neutrinos travel faster than the speed of light. They were able to do some experiments, and a small column was published. The entire scientific community, this was about 10-15 years ago, and the scientists, I believe, were from Italy or somewhere else. I can't remember. The fundamental point they started with is this cannot be true. And they went on a massive hunt to find the flaw. Now, I don't know who was right. Maybe, nothing can travel faster than speed of light is a material law. But Krishna's things in the scriptures are far more solid than our material laws. But I'm just giving an example of this material law. And they found a flaw in some measurements that were taken. And then they came back to the conclusion, no, that answer was wrong, or that measurements were wrong. The neutrinos were traveling at the speed of light, not faster than the speed of light. So it was resolved. So devotees of the Lord must have firm conviction that the scripture is not wrong. Point number 1. Point number 2, it has a deeper meaning. There is a deeper meaning to it. Point number 3, and I am unable to understand that deeper meaning today. As of now, I am unable to understand that deeper meaning, but that deeper meaning exists. Point number 4, don't stop reading the scripture. Don't get stuck that until this is resolved, I won't move forward. No, that's the wrong understanding. Keep moving forward by keeping faith in the scriptures. Keep moving forward. And I assert that even in material knowledge, when you acquire material knowledge, you do this. I have read some very complicated specs of some, components. I work at Intel as a, computer engineer and design chips. And I read these 500-page documents and I'm starting to read and I don't understand it, some part of it. Now, I don't stop there. If I stop there and try to figure out that whole thing, it will take me so much time to read the whole thing. So I keep that aside. I said, okay, I don't understand it. Let me put it aside. I'll come back to it. Let me proceed forward. And I assert you all do that in your daily life when you read complex things. So whenever you encounter such a thing, keep it aside using the first 3 steps that I am not able to understand it today, but there is a deeper meaning. Let me move forward. So step number 4 is keep moving forward. Don't let yourself get stuck. Step number 5, keep serving Bhagavata. Keep serving Bhagavata. We talked about Bhagavata Shravana. There is another verse which we had talked about. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloki bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. This is in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2. I think it's verse number 17 or 18, one of them. 18, I think. So it says Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, and Srila Prabhupada says Bhagavata here means 2 types of Bhagavat, the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. Person Bhagavat means a pure devotee of Krishna or the Lord. So keep serving Bhagavata, which means keep reading and keep associating with devotees of the Lord. Continue that process. And the 6th stage is that Krishna will himself reveal the answer to this contradiction to you when the time is right. And when I say when the time is right, it means when you are ready to understand it and when you have the deep desire to understand it. Many times we come up with these contradictions, but we do not have the real desire to understand the deeper meaning. It is more our ego which is trying to say, oh, Lord Ram is sketchy. See, I proved it. He's sketchy. And we are only we have a deep desire to look for one side of the answer, which is an explanation that only reconfirms our belief that Lord Ram did something wrong. We are only looking for that answer. It's like a multiple choice question, but it has only one option in the answers. Well, that's not a multiple choice question. That's a single choice question. So look in your heart. What is it that you are really looking for? You are really looking for a resolution to the doubt? Or are you really only looking for a proof that God is doing something sketchy? In some cases, or in most cases, it could be the latter. And that is our ego, which is trying to dominate over God. Like we do all the time, we dominate over God's property. So these are the 6 steps. Okay, I hope you got it. If not, you can go back and relook at the video or the audio recordings and catch it again. Now, the point is, don't get put off by this contradiction or paradox. And don't reject the entire scripture because of this. Do not do that. That would be utterly foolish and it will be a shame, a waste. We are, this is also part of our ego. I'm going into a little bit detail so that you can understand how to deal with contradictions in scriptures. And this is an important point. So many people have come and asked me those kind of questions, which I was highlighting. Why did Lord Krishna do this? Why did Lord Ram do this? Why did this? Why did that? Why did that? As if their bhakti is stuck only because these questions are not answered. The only reason why they cannot do bhakti is because these questions they have. No, usually it is not that. They don't want to do bhakti. They don't want to spend half an hour every day taking the name of the Lord. They would rather watch a movie. They would rather do something this or that or that. That is the main blocker. The external reason is, oh, I don't understand this, all this, so I cannot do it. Sorry. Don't tell me, don't talk to me about Lord Krishna. Lord Ram is little better, not 100% better, but little better. That Krishna fellow, he's a flirt, runs after girls, steals their clothes, does all these bad things. I just cannot accept that Krishna thing. So, and he kills demons and he kills, there's so much blood, there is so much this, there's so much that. Cannot do it, cannot deal with it. So don't reject the scriptures because of this. So we are very quick to, we like to demand faith or demand justifications very quickly, but we are very slow in giving our commitment. See that difference. We want instant justification. I have this doubt, I will not proceed till you justify. But to give our commitment, even if all the doubts are resolved, okay, now do it. Okay, now do it. No, sorry. There is the story given in the scriptures about Narad Muni and a person. Narad Muni came to the person. I'll cut it very short. We're running out of time. Says, come, let's do bhakti. Come with me. I'll teach you how to do. He said, no, no, my children are very small. Let them grow up little. Let them stand up on their feet. Narad Muni says, okay, fine. Then they stand up on their feet. They become older. No, no, let them get married. Let them have their own children, establish their business. 5 more years, after 5 years. Then after 5 years, Narad Muni comes. Like this, time keeps going on. Then he comes and he doesn't find that person. Then he talks to some people. Oh, he died. So then Lord Narad Muni can see. So he's like, he's a dog. He sees that he's a dog. He goes and talks to the dog. Hey, what happened? I've been asking you. You keep delaying. The dog says, no, no, I have to watch this house. I'm watching this house. He's a street dog, but he's still interested in watching the house. Other people may come and steal from the house. So I'm the watch guard. So like this, we are very slow in providing our commitment, but we want very quick answers to our contradictions or apparent contradictions. So another very good analogy to deal with these contradictions is, whenever you see a contradiction, treat it like a banana peel. Banana peel. Okay, you know what happens when you step on a banana peel? You slip, correct? There are so many jokes, cartoons, people stepping on banana peel and slipping, right? So these contradictions are like banana peels. Now, when you see a banana peel, the understanding is don't step on it, which means don't accept the contradiction and reject the scriptures. Then what happens? You fall. So don't step on the banana peel. Look at the banana peel and realize, oh my God, there is a banana peel. The real banana must be somewhere close around. Let me look. Try to find the real banana around it without stepping on the peel. And then you will find the real banana and you can eat the banana and you will be happy. The same thing I told in those 6 steps. Continue having faith in the scripture, keep moving forward, do Bhagavata Seva, and the answer will be revealed to you in due course of time. Don't step on the peel and fall down. Okay. So this is how we should deal with scriptures or contradictions in scriptures. Okay, one very nice story I want to again tell you about this. This is a very important topic and I really want to spend time on this topic. So there's a very nice story about a cobbler and a Brahmin. Have I told this before? If some people confirm that I haven't told it before, then I'll proceed with the story. Cobbler and the Brahmin. No. Okay.
No,
And
no, you
didn't. I don't
okay,
think you said the story before. I never heard.
heard it. Okay, fine.
I also did not hear the story.
All right. I'm going to say. So what happens is that there is a cobbler and a Brahmin. Okay. And they are both, doing their devotional service. They are both doing their, bhakti. So one time, Narad Muni is passing by the village, and um both are wondering, the cobbler and the Brahmin, when will I go back to the spiritual world? When will I go back to Krishna or Lord Vishnu? So the Brahman sees sees Narad Muni and asks, when will I go back to the spiritual world? Narad Muni says, I don't know, but I'm going to talk to Lord Vishnu. He knows, of course. I'll tell you what he says. I'll ask him. Brahman says, okay, great. Thank you so much. Please let me know what he says. Then he goes to the cobbler. The cobbler also asks, when will I go back to the spiritual world? And Narad Muni gives the same answer. I'm going to talk to Lord Vishnu and I will tell you what he says. So Narad Muni goes to talk to Lord Vishnu and asks him as to what to say to these both people. So Lord Vishnu says, you go and tell them that I could not speak with Lord Vishnu. When I went there, what I saw is that Lord Vishnu was so busy trying to thread an elephant through the eye of a needle. You just say that to them, and you say that I couldn't talk to him because he was so busy doing this. What was he busy doing? Trying to put an elephant through the eye of a needle. Through the little hole of a needle, he's trying to put an elephant. You go and tell this to the Brahman and the cobbler, and you will get your. And he says, by the way, I'm telling you, don't tell them. I'm telling you, the cobbler will come first. He will be liberated first. So Narad Muni says, okay, I will tell them, but I'm really surprised that Brahmin is doing all this devotional service and everything. Cobbler is just stitching shoes all day. Maybe he's doing little bit bhakti or whatever, but the Brahmin is doing so much more. So I'm surprised you are saying that cobbler is going to be coming back to you, coming back to the spiritual world at the end of this life itself. So Lord Vishnu says, okay, you say this to them, you will know why I told you that, why that is the answer. So Narad Muni says, okay, let me see what happens. So he goes to the Brahmin and he tells the Brahmin, see, the Brahmin says, oh, Narad Muni, please come, welcome. Did you meet Lord Vishnu? What did he say? And Narad Muni says, sorry, couldn't meet him. What actually happened when I went there, he was too busy trying to thread an elephant through the eye of a needle. And since he was so busy, I didn't want to disturb him and I came back. Brahmin says, what? You're joking. You're not even Narad Muni. You're lying. You're some imposter. You don't even know how to go to Lord Vishnu. You're just a cheater. Get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. Never come back again. Okay, Narad Muni says, okay, sorry about that. Thank you. See you later. And then Narad Muni goes to the cobbler. And then cobbler welcomes Narad Muni and says, oh, Narad Muni, please come. Did you ask the question to Lord Vishnu? What did he say? Narad Muni says, sorry, couldn't ask him. He was too busy trying to thread an elephant through the eye of a needle. And so he was too busy. Didn't want to disturb him. So I couldn't ask. And the cobbler started crying and he was like in ecstasy. He said, wow, you're sharing with me one of the pastimes of what the Lord is doing. Pastime means Leela. All activities of the Lord are pastimes, are Leelas. And this is so wonderful that he is trying to thread an elephant through the eye of a needle. When the Lord can create, he was sitting under a banyan tree and stitching shoes. And he said, when he can create this whole huge banyan tree from such a tiny seed. The seed of a banyan tree is so small, and this whole banyan tree comes out of that tiny seed. I am not at all surprised that he can make an elephant go through the eye of a needle. But thank you so much for telling me that. I'm so happy to know that Lord Vishnu is doing this. So next time when you meet him, find out, and if possible, you answer the question. Narad Muni says, okay, fine, thank you. Then Narad Muni obviously gets the answer that this cobbler has more faith in Vishnu than the Brahmin. And he has no problem with these apparent contradictions. How can Lord Vishnu be doing such a thing? He has no problem with this understanding. The Lord is so great, he can do anything. But the Brahmin did not have that faith. So this is how the cobbler dealt with the contradiction, but the Brahmin was unable to deal with the contradiction. So we must get some lesson from this story. Okay, so let's move forward. So in 9.5, Lord Krishna is asking us to celebrate his opulence, his inconceivability by saying Pashyame Yogam Ishwaram. And we should not consider this to be mythology. Mythology means myth. The word mythology is rooted in the word myth. Myth means it's mythical, it's a story. We call all this as mythology. This is not mythology. It's the wrong word to use, mythology. It's history. And in the Bhagavatam, you will see the word itihasam. Itihasam. This is history. This is not mythology. So we should not consider to be mythology. We should not underestimate the potency and the power of God. He is God. He can do anything. And we must celebrate his inconceivability. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada will say God is not like an Atlas. You might have seen the picture of Atlas, like a kind of a Greek god who is holding the earth using a rod or on his shoulder, and he's like tired. He's like holding the earth on his and almost about to fall on his shoulders. God is not like that. He's not getting tired. It's not like he's reaching his limit. Lord Krishna could hold the whole Govardhan hill on his pinky finger. You all know the story of the Govardhan hill. So the Lord we must consider to be the Supreme Lord, who is capable of doing everything. Now let us go to 9.6. Now we'll move a little faster. So here we come up with a example of this contradiction. So 9.6 says, Yatha Akasha Sthito Nityam. Okay, wait a minute. Did we complete 9.5? Yeah, one more point. Bhuta Bhinna. So 9.5. Sorry, I'm back to 9.5. Bhuta Bhinna cha bhutastho mama atma bhuta bhavanaha. So he's saying, I am, for myself is the very source of creation. Mama atma bhuta bhavanaha. Now, I just want to point out this is one of the places, and there'll be another much stronger words by Lord Krishna in chapter 15, which defeat the theory of evolution. At the Vedic science level, we do not agree with the theory of evolution or the Darwinism, that we are all coming from amoebas. Now, I had talked about this topic about how the first life began. Did life begin from matter? I'm not going to go in that discussion. We dealt with it in one of the previous topics, and we talked about the Stanley Miller experiment and that whole related discussion about could life have come from matter? Yes, maybe amino acids can come from matter, but can life come from matter? But here the topic is, can a after give it a 50 million years, can you get a human being from a dog, or a human being from a monkey, or I don't know, whatever, pick your favorite, evolution sort of sequence. Here, Lord Krishna is saying, I am the source of creation. The entire creation is coming from me, which means all living entities are coming from me. That means Krishna is the source, direct source of all living entities. It's not like we have monkeys as our forefathers. Monkeys had, I don't know what they say, you know, giraffes and whatever. I don't know the whole progression, but as our forefathers, going back to, single cellular amoebas and all that, they are not our forefathers. We all have a common forefather, which is Krishna. So it is a more flat hierarchy. We are all brothers and sisters, all the human beings and all the animals, all the plant species. We are all children of one God. So it's a very flat hierarchy rather than a very tall hierarchy where we say we are coming from monkeys and monkeys are coming from here and here and here and here. It's not a very tall hierarchy. It's a flat hierarchy. This is mentioned here. Mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. All living beings come from me. Now, one of the things that scientists say, and we believe in science, we absolutely believe in science. We don't believe in some of the ridiculous hypotheses which science has not fully proven, which is where evolution comes. Now, there is partly some things of evolution which are true. There is mutation which exists, but experiments have been done where mutation doesn't go beyond a certain class of species. So I'm not trying to at all. I have a tremendous amount of respect for science. There was an experiment that was done on fruit flies. Fruit flies, like when you leave a banana for too long, you will see some small flies coming around the banana. Those are known as fruit flies. There was an experiment done on fruit flies where some mutations were done. And yes, it is possible to have some changes in the genetic structure of the fruit flies. But if you do too much mutation, the fruit flies just die out. They don't have a healthy cycle of reproduction into a different sort of a genetic form. They die out. So this whole concept, and we can have a more discussion about it at some other time. And so here we are talking about Lord Krishna is now. Yes, one of the things that science observes is that if you go back at the fossil records, we don't find human fossil records going back to, let's say, 1 billion years. But we do find other, for example, aquatic fossil records going back very long. So that is one of the arguments that scientists or Darwinists, so to say, make, that there were aquatics so long back, but mammals came much later. That part is true. Mammals were present later on this planet and aquatics were present earlier. But how do you make the connection that mammals came from aquatics? How do you draw that conclusion? Yes, aquatics were earlier, mammals were later. That means that Lord Krishna brought the aquatics first to this planet, and he brought other species at different points on this planet at a later point. It does not necessarily mean that one form, through some random mutations, went to other forms. So I just wanted to point that out. I have done some part of my study on this topic. There is a very nice book written by one of my favorite authors, Dr. Richard L. Thompson, and the name of the book is Forbidden Archaeology. And it's a very thick book, but you can read it and you can get way more details about it. It's a very scientifically written book. It's written in a very, very rational, objective way. Okay, 9.6. So, Yatha Akash Sthito Nityam Vayuh Sarvatra Go Mahan Tatha sarva bhutani matsthani upadharaya. So again, Lord Krishna is saying, understand that, upadharaya, understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere, the mighty wind, Vayu sarvatra go mahan. This Vayu is the wind, it is everywhere, sarvatra go, and it is great wind. It's not just talking about the small wind, the great wind which is everywhere, mahan. As the mighty wind blowing everywhere, rests always in the sky. Akasha sthito nityam, always rests in the sky. So the wind rests in the sky. Do you agree? The wind is in the sky, correct? All created beings rest in me. All created beings, tatha sarva bhutani, sarvani bhutani, rest in me. Matsthani iti. Upadharaya. Try to understand this. So all living entities are in Krishna. So what is the example that the Lord is giving here? The example that the Lord is giving here, so try to understand this. I will explain. Please pay attention. The sky is everywhere, right? The sky is not just on the top, right? The blue sky that you see. If you see, the sky stretches all the way to the ground. You call the whole thing as the sky. It is that sky. Okay. And therefore, if the sky is stretching right from, let's say, the limit of atmosphere to the ground, it means the sky is everywhere. Okay. That means we are all, and everything, including the wind, which is also around us, is in the sky. The wind is in the sky because that space we are calling as sky, and the wind is in the sky. Okay, but the sky is everywhere. So the sky is in everything. The sky is everywhere. So the sky is in everything, and therefore the sky is in the wind as well. So the sky is in the wind, and the wind is in the sky. That is the point being made, the analogy being made. Now, yes, if you think too much about it, you can twist and turn and come up with arguments one way or the other. This is just an analogy, an example that Lord Krishna is giving, that just as the wind is in the sky, but the sky is in the wind, I am in everything and everything is in me. That is the point that is being made. So this is the analogy that Lord Krishna, or the example that Lord Krishna is giving to make us understand. Okay. Okay. So now we come to the next section of Bhagavad Gita, which is from 9.7 to 9.10. And the purpose of this section, or the essence of this section from 9.7 to 9.10, 4 verses, 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 verses, is that Krishna is the source of everything. Just like he said earlier, everything is what was that? Mama Atma Bhuta Bhavanaha. I am the source of myself, is the source of is the very source of creation. So in that same way, Lord Krishna is saying, I am the source of everything, and I am the controller of everything. Everything is working under my direction. That is the essence of 7 to 10. So verse number 7, 9.7. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshe punastani kalpado vrisjamyaham. So, O son of, the translation is, O son of Kunti, which is Kaunteya, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So how we dissect this? O son of Kunti, Kaunteya, at the end of the millennium, Kalpa Kshe, Ksha. Kshaya means at the end. If you see Akshaya means which has no end. Akshaya, right? That's why some people name their children as Akshaya. Akshaya means there is no end to this. He will never die. There is something known as Akshay Patra. Akshay Patra. Draupadi had Akshay Patra. Akshay Patra means a vessel which always keeps producing food, never ends. That is Akshaya. Kshaya means something that has an end. So Kalpa Kshaya. Kalpa Kshaya means at the end of the Kalpa or the end of the millennium. Kalpa is at the end of the day of Brahma. So Kalpakshe Punastani, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. Sarva Bhutani Prakritim Yanti Mamikam. Yanti means they enter into me, Mamikam. All the Prakriti, the entire nature enters into me when? At the end of the millennium. And at the beginning of another millennium, Kalpa Adav, Adi means the beginning. So Kalpa Adav, at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Vrisajami means create, aham, I create them. So again, Lord Krishna is saying, I am the creator of all these living entities. So another same idea is there here also, but that's not the main point. The main point here is that the material nature is in control of, or Krishna is the supreme controller. Now, a similar point we saw in the 8th chapter, in 8.19 specifically. And if you switch to 8.19, you will see there the translation is, again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into my being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Similar thought is there. At the end of the Brahma's night, all living entities enter into Krishna, into Krishna's, come into, and in the next verse, Lord Krishna says that, at the beginning of, in the previous one, 8.18, at the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. So there, manifest and unmanifest is mentioned. Here, Lord Krishna is saying that manifest and unmanifest means they come into me, become unmanifest, and when they come out of me, they again become manifest. So now, he is talking about where they actually go. They go into Krishna. So the intent of the 8th chapter verse was a little different. The intent of the 8th chapter was to show the temporariness of the material world. And if you want a permanent happiness, eternal bliss, the call of 8th chapter was to focus our mind and attention on Krishna. So that was the context in which this topic was brought up. In the 9th chapter, the context of the topic is, I am the controller. Everything comes in me and comes out of me at the beginning of the next day of Brahma. So the context is, the focus is on Krishna here. The focus over there was on the temporariness of the material world. That's why Krishna didn't talk about himself over there. But here he is talking about himself. Okay, so that is a difference. And that is the sort of the main motivation of this section 9.7 to 9.10, to show that Krishna is the controller of material nature. Okay, we will go to 9.8. Prakritim swam avashtabhya visrajami punah punah bhuta gramam imam kritsnam avasham prakriter vashat. So the translation is, the whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So the whole cosmic manifestation is under me. This prakritim swam avashtabhya. Avashtabhya means entering into. And punah punah vistrajami punah punah. And I create this material manifestation again and again. So under my will, vistrajami, I create this material manifestation, this prakriti, punah punah, again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. Bhuta gra mama imam kritsnam avasham prakriter vashat. That under the vasha, under, like you say, vash mein hai. So under the vasha of Krishna, under the obligation of Krishna, this prakriti is getting created and annihilated again and again. So again, the point is that the material nature is in complete control of Lord Krishna. And here in the purport, you will see that Srila Prabhupada talks actually about how evolution is not substantiated by Bhagavad Gita. So directly in the purport of 9.8, you will see Srila Prabhupada referring to that. He says that the activities of the different species of living beings are begun from the very moment of creation. It is not that all is evolved. The different species of life are created immediately along with the universe. Men, animal, beasts, birds, everything is simultaneously created because whatever desires the living entities had at the last annihilation are again manifested. So on this planet, these particular living entities may be coming at different times, but overall in the universe, they are manifested simultaneously. Now, Krishna is controlling the material world. Material world is not controlling Krishna. Krishna is not under the control of the material world. So that is what he says in text 9. So we'll move forward to text 9. Text 9. Na cha mam tani karmani nibaddhanti dhananjaya. So, na cha mam tani karmani. All this work, O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. Nibaddhanti means to be able to bind. Nibaddhanti. So Lord Krishna saying, na cha mam tani karmani. This work cannot bind me. Na nibaddhanti. Dhananjaya is Arjuna. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. Udasinavad asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. So Lord Krishna is saying that he is above this material world. He is not bound by the laws of the material world. He is neutral and he is detached. So the point to understand from here is that Krishna is the creator of the material world, but he himself is not bound by the laws of the material world. He is building up to another big contradiction or big misunderstanding that people have about Krishna, which we will talk about in 11 and 12, 9.11 and 9.12. And that contradiction, or not contradiction, misunderstanding that people have is that Krishna is just like us. He's a human being. And therefore, he's subject to the laws of nature, which means birth and death. Those are the biggest laws of nature for all living entities. They all are born and they have to die one day. So Krishna is the creator of the laws and he is not governed by the laws. Like the king. Think about not like the president of United States today, who is under so many laws. He can be impeached and he can be, he can be overruled, and there are so many. The president doesn't have too much power in this country for a good reason. But anyway, think about a monarchy where the a good king is creating the laws, like Lord Rama. His reign is called Rama Rajya. because he had such wonderful, he created all these wonderful laws which were executed fairly. The laws were fair and their enforcement was fair. Both was fair. And that's why it is called Ram Rajya. So he is the creator, but the king is usually not subject to the laws. Okay? The king has permanent immunity because he is the originator of the laws. And he's neutral. He's created the laws and he lets them work. So people are getting governed by the laws. But once in a while, if the king wants, he can pardon somebody, he can interfere, he can personally do that. He has the power. So these laws are more like the laws of a state. They are not like laws of physics, where there is no interference possible. These are more like laws of a state where they have been created, they are applied equally to all, but it is possible for the king or the creator of the laws to interfere and overturn a decision if he so desires. And we will come to that part when Lord Krishna says, I do that for my devotees, because my devotees are my dearest friends. I interfere and I change the laws for their benefit. He says that in the 9th chapter later. So anyhow, here Krishna is saying this material world is working under my laws. I am not governed by those laws. Then 9.10. 9.10 goes, Maya adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetuna anena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. So Maya adhyakshena prakritihi, this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. Maya adhyakshena, adhyaksha. Some of you may understand this word adhyaksha. Adhyaksh means the director. And if you go into North India, there is the director of this, director of that. They are called as, their title is called adhyaksha in Hindi. So adhyaksha means director or the controller. So Maya adhyakshena, under my direction or under my superintendence, in the translation is given, this prakriti suyate, it manifests both the chara and achara. Chara charam. Chara means the moving and achara means the non-moving. Chara charam. Chara acharam. Chara acharam. So all the moving and non-moving entities are manifested by my control, under my superintendence. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. So this whole prakriti is working under my direction, producing all moving and non-moving beings, chara charam. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So same point is being presented here. So Krishna is the one who is directing this world. Okay, so Krishna has very strongly said he is the controller, he is the creator of all the living entities, he is the creator of the laws, and the laws are being enforced under his direction, but he is above the law. Is that clear in these 4 verses? That is the sort of the message in these 4 verses. Now, next 2 verses, 11 and 12. And if we are able to cover these, then we'll be a good, we'll have accomplished our goal for today. So 9.11 and 9.12, there are some, so I'll tell you the essence of this and then we'll read the verse. There are some people who think Krishna is just a human being. Okay, he's just like us. He's not God. He's a powerful human being. He's a mystic human being. Even Ravana was a mystic human being. But Krishna is also a powerful, strong, mystical human being, but he is not God. I can show you a book written, a very, very popular book Can one of you get me that book? Can you come to my room here, Gopal? Okay, Ram is coming. Okay, that book over there. Yogi. Yep. No, left. Yeah, right there. Little to the right. More right. That one. So I got this book a long time back. Very famous book, Autobiography of a Yogi. And here I was reading this. And if you see here, chapter 43, it shows Krishna. And it says at the bottom, what does it say? Krishna, an ancient prophet of India. Like a saint, a prophet, but not God. A prophet is very different from God. We all understand. So there is some misunderstanding, a lot of misunderstanding in people's minds. Whether Krishna is God or he is just a saint who said some good things, gave good teachings, fine, did some mystical things. But some of the completely absurd things like lifting Govardhan Hill on his pinky finger, that's all mythology. It's all baloney. Bhagavad Gita, yes, fine. Another great, respected person, I won't name, said, I accept that Krishna which spoke the Bhagavad Gita, but I reject that Krishna which stole the gopis' clothes. So selective acceptance and selective rejection of the same person, Krishna. That is, then you can select partially Krishna. You can just even select Krishna said fight war. Okay, we'll go on jihad, fight. You can say Krishna is promoting war. Take one line of Bhagavad Gita which says, therefore pick up your weapons and fight, Arjuna. He says that in 4th chapter. With cut your doubts with the sword of knowledge. Pick up your weapons and fight. This is the last verse of 4th chapter. So you take the second line, pick up I accept that Krishna who said that second line, pick up the weapons and fight, and I reject everything else. And then you can say Krishna is promoting war. Where do you draw the line? Either you accept everything that Krishna says or you reject everything that he says. You cannot do. The selective thing is just highly dangerous. There was actually a court case that was filed in Russia because this ISKCON movement was exploding in Russia. So many people are taking to Hare Krishna movement in Russia. And some of the people who didn't like it filed a court case that this Bhagavad Gita is promoting war. Exactly what I am saying was actually a real court case in a Russian court. So what I am saying is not made up. Things like this have happened. Well, the court read the whole Bhagavad Gita, and in context, when you read it, you will see that this is all, this is completely bogus claim. And the court case was thrown away, but that didn't prevent the people from bringing the case to the court, right? So taking out of context is highly dangerous. So for these kind of people, Krishna says 9.11 and 9.12, very strong verses, he says. He says, avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So he says, fools deride me when I descend in the human form, manushim tanumashritam. They don't know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. So Lord Krishna is saying that So here you must, understand the word ashritam, manushim tanum ashritam. So I am coming in the human-like form. My form is like human. And elsewhere in the Puranas, Lord has said, it's not like I have come in the human form. No, the humans have been created by me in my form. I look like this and I made the humans look like me. So when I come there, people think Krishna looks like humans. No, he was the one who created humans to look like him in the first place. Because we haven't seen Krishna, we think we are there first. That's why in science you have this whole thing about who published the paper first. Because anybody can claim, I can claim today, oh, I invented gravity or I discovered gravity. No. Wait a minute. 400 years ago, there was a person called Newton who already discovered our gravity. You don't get the credit of discovering gravity. So we cannot say Krishna looks like us. Krishna was the one who created us in the first place to look like him. So he's calling these people fools, mudha, avajananti, those who don't know. What do they not know? Param bhavam. They think that manushim tanumashritam. I am under the ashraya of a human form. Ashritam is an important word. He looks like a human, fine. Let's not debate about whether we came first or God came first. Of course, God came first. But I am under the ashraya. I am under the shelter of the human form, which means I am subject to the human laws. And Krishna is calling such people fools, mudhas, if they think I am subject to the laws that humans are subjected to, like birth and death. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, I think it is second or third chapter of the 10th canto, Lord Krishna's birth is described there. He was not born directly like a normal child is born from the womb of a mother. Yes, Devaki's womb was growing. So, but Krishna didn't take birth from there. He just appeared in the prison. It is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. He just appeared. And when he appeared as full Vishnu form, four-handed Chaturdhvaja form, the Chaturbhuja form. A small baby Chaturbhuja form. And Devaki and Vasudev were very familiar how Vishnu looks. They were obviously familiar of Lord Narayana and Lord Vishnu. And they were amazed. They said in Bhagavatam, it is written, they are, oh my God, I have never seen this baby Vishnu form. Who are you? Where have you come from? Then Lord Vishnu says, you too, Vasudeva and Devaki, you were these other great saints in your previous ages, and you had prayed to have me as your son. And because you were such great devotees, not only once, but 3 times I agreed to be your son. As Prishnigarbha and as Kashyapa, right? The son of Aditi and Kashyapa as Vamandev, yes. So as Prishnigarbha, I was your son. As Vamandev, I was your son. Now 3rd time, I am your son as Krishna. Then they come to know, oh. So Lord Krishna was not born like ordinary children are born in the prison house of Kamsa. Nobody knew that. Only Vasudeva and Devaki knew that. And if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you will know. But those who don't read, they will claim, oh, he was born just like us. And the same way, there is the whole pastime of his disappearance. People think, oh, a hunter killed Lord Krishna. That is not the case. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna just disappears from this planet when his pastimes are over. It appears that the hunter shot an arrow, but there is no, he's not hit by the arrow. There is no blood. There is no death. There is nothing. There's no dead body of Krishna or anything. The Lord appears and the Lord disappears. So he's not subject to human laws. He doesn't grow old. He stays at the Yauvana form, at the 16-year age, even though he's so many years old. It is said that when the Mahabharata war was occurring, He had been on this planet for 125 years already at the time of Mahabharat war, but he was looking like a 16-year-old boy. How is that possible? So that is what Krishna is saying. Avajananti, those who don't know this and who think Manushim Tanum Ashritam, I have taken shelter of a human form, they are mudhas. Mudha. Manushim Tanum Ashritam. Param Bhavam Ajananto. They don't know my Param Bhavam. That Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. I am the Maheshwara. I am the Lord. Maha Ishwara. Maheshwara. The Supreme Lord. Maha Ishwara of all the living entities. Bhuta Maheshwaram. That is my real form. Mama. Mama Bhava. Param Bhavam Ajananto. Mama. They don't know my real form. And we'll conclude by this 9.12, where Lord Krishna is using very strong language for such people. What happens to such people who knowingly blaspheme the Lord to be a human? What does he say? Mogha asha, mogha karmano, mogha jnana, vichetasaha. Vichetasaha means they are completely bewildered or completely lost. What is lost? Mogha asha means they are completely lost in their asha, in their hopes, any hopes they may have of liberation, of making progress, of anything. Whoever thinks Krishna or God is a human being, all his hopes are dashed. Mogha karmano, all his activities are useless, completely useless. Karmana. Mogha jnana, his knowledge is completely useless. And he is vichetasa, he is completely bewildered. So those who are bewildered are attracted by the, so and then what kind of ashraya do they take? Those who think I am, Krishna is saying, I take the human ashraya, the shelter of the human form. You know what shelter they get? Rakshasim asurim chaiva. They take the shelter of the Rakshasa and Asuric nature. Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohinim Ashrita. They get attracted to those tendencies of the demons and the Rakshasas. That is their nature. This is what I was referring to earlier. If you remember, those who are saying, oh, why did Lord Ram abandon Mother Sita? They are not interested in the right answer. Even if you tell them the right answer, they are only interested in asserting or re-justifying their preconceived answer, which they already believe in, that Lord Ram is sketchy. If any explanation matches that understanding, they will say, yes, I agree. To any other explanation, they will always resist. So they are not interested in the true explanation. They are only interested in a affirmation or a vindication of their preconceived understanding. That is the mogha, the rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim ashrita. That's where they go. So the translation is, so those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So that is the destination of such people. So very strong words Lord Krishna is using. Very strong words. What happens to such people? Now in 13 and 14, which we will cover next time, we will see Lord Krishna is saying, okay, now you see where the pure devotees go. And there'll be a huge contrast, a complete 180-degree contrast between such demoniac people who blaspheme God and those who take shelter of God, the pure devotees. So it's 6:02. We will stop here. I didn't see any questions on the chat, I think. And there was one question that came in the online that I want to take up quickly. And I will share my screen and show that. and screen share. Is there a, can you see the screen? Washing hands? No? What do you see? I'm sharing some screen, it says.
Yes, we can.
Okay, washing hands. So somebody is asking about washing hands and feet after the restroom use. So the principle, so see, in this class, we focus less on, or not less, but we focus a lot on the purpose and the principle. I hope that has been clear to you. We have been meeting for almost 6 months. The important part is principle and purpose. Everything has a principle and purpose. There is nothing we do like a ritual. Ritual means we don't know why we are doing something. Okay, so the purpose of washing hands and feet is cleanliness. That is the purpose. Cleanliness and purity, both. Okay, so washing hands and legs or hands and feet, that is the question. So one of the thing is, what is the actual reasoning for doing this? I hope I have explained the reason to do it. Okay, so when we come into the house, or especially into the deity room where we are worshiping God, we have to keep it very clean. That is the purpose. And so we have to make ourselves clean so that we don't carry the dirt along with us. The bathroom is supposed to be the dirty place. Okay, now in a correct structure of the house, the bathroom actually is supposed to be located outside the house. In this modern Western culture and everything, the bathrooms have kind of become the central place in the house. But there is still a very, I would say a good degree of cleanliness in this Western kind of system with the whatever approaches that have been developed. In the traditional systems, Eastern systems, the way the restrooms were constructed and the way we use the restroom caused our hands and legs to get more dirty, or there was a possibility to get dirty. So there was the thing that you must wash the hands and feet after using the bathroom. So you have to come up with your own principle or own standard. But I feel that in this Western sort of system, the feet really don't get dirty if you use the bathroom properly. In some cases, I'm not going to go into all the gory details of how we use bathrooms, but but washing hands is definitely required. I mean, even if you go and ask somebody who constructed the bathroom or designed the bathroom, they will say, yes, of course you must wash your hands. And typically what we do is that we don't bring, for example, outside shoes into the house. We keep the shoes outside. In some of the households, we have a special pair of slippers or some, like a flippers, what do you call, flip flops, that we use inside the bathroom. When you're using the bathroom, wear a flip flop, leave it in the bathroom. So those flip flops are meant just for you can come up with various arrangements, but the principle is that of cleanliness and purity. Okay, and that washing hands, legs, or only hands, etc., depends on the overall situation and the overall sort of level of hygiene, cleanliness, etc. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, we are saying there are more questions here. Can you give Dvaita versus Advaita? So that is the question, right? So Dvaita and Advaita are two philosophies of understanding the Supreme Lord. Okay. Dvaita is the correct philosophy and Advaita is the incorrect philosophy. Advaita means that me and the Supreme Lord are the same. Advaita, not true. Dvaita means two. Advaita means not two, which means one. That means me and God are one. I am God, basically. So there is a philosophy that I am God. I don't know it today, Once I am self-realized, I will become equal to God. There is not a single line in Bhagavad Gita which substantiates that I am God. On the contrary, there are so many places where Lord Krishna says, you can come to me. Tad dhamam paramam mama. Come to my abode. It's like if I tell you, whoever asked this question, please come to my house. So when you come to my house, will we both become one? Or will we stay as two separate people? And Lord Krishna is here talking about a relationship between two people. So there is nothing which substantiates the Advaita understanding. And we have talked more about this Advaita understanding as in the topic that God and we are the same in quality, but not in quantity. We are all the spirit soul. Our spirit soul and Krishna as the supreme spirit are both spiritual. There are 9 basic elements in creation. We read this in chapter 7, 7.4 and 7.5. There are 9 elements. 8 are the lower elements. Bhumir apo anala vayu bhumir apo analo vayu kha mano buddhirevacha. How does that verse go? Kham ahankara iti amme bhinna prakritir ashtadha. These are the 8 inferior energies. And then in the next verse, Lord Krishna says that there is a superior energy, which is the jivam, the spirit soul. So Krishna is made fully of the entire spirit. We are the marginal energy of that spirit soul. And the examples given in the Shastras are like a spark compared to a forest fire. A spark has the same properties as the forest fire, but quantity wise, they are vastly different. Just like a drop of water and an ocean, properties are the same, but quantity is completely different. So that Advaita philosophy is not something that the Bhagavad Gita promotes. Okay, we will stop here today. I'm going to try out a new thing today. I'm going to stop the recording and I will hang around here. Some people told me that maybe, there are some questions they want to ask or something. Like when we used to do these classes face to face at our home, after the class was over, we used to I used to hang around and people used to come and ask me questions and this and that. If you want, you can do that. I'll continue to be here on Zoom for some more time. Now, another thing, next Sunday, we will not have a class, right?
It's at 4 to 6 in the temple.
It'll go on and this and that. So next weekend is Diwali. Let's skip that weekend. Everybody will be busy with the festivities. So we will have a class in 2 weeks from today. Is that what you were?
Yeah, that's what. Or should we change the time?
I think changing the time and everything will not work out because it's festival time. Let's take a break. Is that okay, or would you really like to have a class next week?
No, we don't. We just want to take a break. We'd like to have a class. We're not allowed to do fireworks here, so.
Yeah. So let's have a break. Let people do fireworks and enjoy the festivities and enjoy the festival of Diwali and Govardhan Puja, Lord Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill. And we will meet in 2 weeks. We'll start with a very important topic of the 9.13 and 9.14. Very important verses of the 9th chapter. So please don't miss that initial discussion of the next class. Don't arrive late. Thank you so much. I'll continue to be here for any Q&A, any discussion, any casual discussion you want to have.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.